Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all sexualities, identities, and more. And welcome back to another book review. Today's book review is The Hunger of the Gods. Now, before I start this review, I would just like to, hand on heart, admit to everyone at the moment I have not read this whole book. I did read a good portion of it though. But it is an incredibly long book, and it is, well, it is. It's one of those books that really takes your breath away when you realize how good the writer who's written it is. So my hat goes off to you, John Gwynne. But unfortunately, sadly, mate, I didn't manage to finish the whole book. But what I did read of it was fascinating. It's a world of God and man, and it's got a very interesting, intriguing development in showing people the rights of wrongs and showing people in desperate situations and showing how far they will go for someone. So the book starts off introducing us to a woman who has lost her partner and has now lost her son. She used to go round with a group of mercenaries. Well, I say mercenaries, more of a group of vagabonds, or a gang, as some people might call it. And basically, she used to be this ferocious warrior. And then one day, her and her partner decided, enough is enough. We don't want this anymore. We're going to live a nice, peaceful life in a village like other people and get on with our lives. But this, of course, comes back to bite them on the arse. One day, the village is attacked and her son is taken away from her and her partner is slaughtered in the massacre. She vows from that day onwards to find her son, to do anything she can to find them. And in doing so, she will go any length it takes. Ironically, on the same day, a bunch of her old colleagues seem to be tressing through the path and hunting down a beast of ferocious power unleashed by this malevolent enemy. And her colleagues come across her as she has gone full hammer head on this whole village of warriors. She even takes an axe to a lot of members and begins to line the halls of this kind of castle looking place, searching for answers, searching for someone who knows where her son has gone. Along the journey, she has a laugh with her group of old colleagues and they begin to argue over the premises of why she left in the first place. She points out to them that she doesn't want that life anymore, and now that she's been dragged back into it, she has become a Ronin of her word and now has to stand by her actions, no matter how far she goes. Elsewhere, there is this malevolent figure who she is hunting down, who is also combining his resources and taking advantage of the power he holds over the land. Of course, her and her colleagues don't agree with this, so they do their best to try and get there as fast as they can, but everywhere they go in this book, it seems like they're too late. Of course, as I've already mentioned at the beginning of this video, I did not get to the full extent of the end of this book, but from the journey of where it was going, I do like the development that the writer had. John Gwynne definitely knows his characters, and even in the beginning of the book, gives you a little detail into words that describe the type of battle axes and crossbows and all sorts of manner of weapons, just so you're not confused as you dive further on into the book. Sadly, of course, as I said, I didn't get all the way through this book. But although I've bigged up bits and pieces of the book, I will also say there are some bits that I feel like dragged. I would just be honest. there was some scenes like a dock scene and one where they're pushing the cart, and it kind of reminded me of that kind of classic thing that happens in a lot of old films where we're traveling from one place to the next, and rather than having a battle going on between those stories, we instead have this little bit of banter between the characters, which, don't get me wrong, isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all to have the banter between the characters, but sometimes I do feel that if we're going to start describing things, to describe the cart and the motion and the woods, uh, we just shouldn't do it repeatedly. And I feel like that kind of let me down a lot in this book. Other than that, the book itself is fantastic, and I absolutely adore the whole dilemma they're in. I also like the blood sworn, the shadow of the gods, the constant reminder in this book that we aren't dealing with just any old world. We're dealing with a world where we have like Vikings, barbarians, and gods, and people who can transform. Um, and I think that's a very strong and powerful message in this story about the powers at which people can overcome and turn back on what they find familiar. And for that reason, I give The Hunger of the Gods a solid 7 out of 10. As I said, it would be higher if like there wasn't some of those lack scenes, but other than that, John Gwynne does do a perfect job of at least letting you know as the story progresses who his characters are. Very grounded, gives you a great idea of the pain and the torture that each character has had in their background. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in another book review.